of the week, and it has been dominated by America's relationship with Iran. It's the Star Wars of international relationships. Good in the 70s, terrible for a long time, and now hopefully on the brink of a revival. Because this week, we got some major news.
Today, President Obama announced an agreement he says will keep an atomic bomb out of Iranian hands for more than a decade.
This deal offers an opportunity to move in a new direction. We should seize it.
Wow. I mean, you can tell the president means business because he's speaking from the "I killed bin Laden and threw him in the ocean" wing of the White House. And you can tell that Biden means business because he is locking eyes with the camera like a silverback gorilla who thinks you're challenging his alpha status. You want to dance, motherfucker? Iran's not going nuclear, but Joey B might. Do you want to dance with me? In his address, the president wanted to make it clear just because he was making a deal with Iran did not mean he fully trusted them.
This deal is not built on trust. It is built on verification. Inspectors will have 24/7 access to Iran's key nuclear facilities.
And that's a reasonable request. After all, Iran developed nuclear facilities in secret and then, when they were discovered, claimed they were for civilian purposes, which is a bit like having your girlfriend discover your real doll and saying, "Wait, what? I'm getting my lifeguard certification and they require that your CPR dummy have a medically accurate anus and vagina. I'm allowed this." And it's perhaps that lack of trust which is why the terms of this agreement are so severe.
Iran will remove 2/3 of its installed centrifuges. Iran will not use its advanced centrifuges to produce enriched uranium for the next decade. Iran will also get rid of 98% of its stockpile of enriched uranium. That stockpile will be reduced to a fraction of what would be required for a single weapon.
Yes, if they obey the terms of the deal, Iran won't have enough material to make a single bomb. And if you're wondering if they could make one really teeny bomb that they could strap to a suicide hamster and use to blow up a mailbox, well, no. We asked, and no, they can't do that. They can't do it. We did ask, though. There was actually good reason the president was making a hard sell for this deal. He knew that there were some who, within hours of the deal being announced, simply would not be able to wait to start criticizing it.
This is a bad deal. The worst possible outcome is you've created a nuclear arms race in the Mideast. You put Israel at risk and you put us at risk.
The only other thing that I would add is that we don't know all the specifics to this plan.
That's true.
And you yourself haven't read anything,
That's true.
right?
What? He hadn't read it. Lindsey Graham is discussing the Iran deal the way a 4-year-old talks about broccoli. It's disgusting. It's the worst food in the world. Have you ever tried broccoli? No, I have not, but I know I hate it. I know I hate it. And Lindsey Graham, to be fair, was not alone in criticising the deal based solely on what he thought it contained.
The deal that we have out there, in my view, from what I know of it thus far, is unacceptable. If, in fact, it's as bad a deal as I think it is at this moment, we'll do everything we can to stop it.
Wait, as bad as you think it is, that is a clear sign that you didn't do the reading. It's like starting a book report. Some of us are of mice, while others are, of course, of men. There have been many good Gatsbys in history, but only one I would call the Great Gatsby. And the thing is, how can you not read this deal before commenting? It's only 159 pages long, and much of that is lists and preamble. The actual meat of the agreement is about 90 pages, making it around half the length of Babysitter's Club #1, Christie's Great Idea. And look, I'm not saying the deal is perfect. I'm just saying think of the nuclear agreement with Iran as a calzone. It could contain a lot of things, from cheese and marinara sauce to a dead mouse. But the point is, you don't get to complain about what might be inside unless you have fucking looked. France, yes, it was an amusing, erotic travel, I suppose. The lovemaking was passable, but belt play is a little pedestrian, don't you say? N'est-ce pas? France, I must confess to you, Monsieur Spraycan, I do not know from where this mysterious white substance... Oh, voila, it happened again, my dear friend. Australia. Shut up, Barnaby, you insensitive wanker. Australia. I did it. I killed all the dogs. I, Barnaby Joyce, killed all the dogs. The United Kingdom. I do so wish we could explain the concept of voting to them, but dearie me, their savage little coconut brains would probably just collapse. I'm assuming it's coconut milk in there. We'll soon see. Wacky stick. United Kingdom. We'd very much like to rise up against the great state of China, but certainly wouldn't want to cause a mess while we're doing it. Scrub it up, dub. What? Scotland. The only flower I like is a flower that could pierce an Englishman's throat. Scotland. I'm just a woman, you know, just a pair of ovaries and some bangs. How do I possibly have the mental capacity to pick from one of two options? Put me down for a no and never trust me with an important decision again. Scotland. I'll give you 3 sheep for it and a punch in the face. Do we have a fucking deal? America. Well, I love my coal. You come after my coal, I hit you with a shovel. Burning rocks is my favorite thing to do. It's wartime. America. Dude, my car is sick, dude. Texas. I just like to rob banks. That's kind of my thing. Kazakhstan. It's nice. Winter Olympics. Yes, it's nice. Yes, it's nice. I get it. Russia. Did somebody order a white Russian? Russia. Give us what we want or Dmitry here will poke your ex-girlfriend on Facebook. You will do it. Russia. You have chosen to drown, my friend. For you, there is nothing I can do. Russia. Yes, and we don't just have cameras there. We also have cameras on the horsefoot. And even inside Putin's mouth. Many cameras for you to enjoy. Many cameras. Russia. Yes, women, it is great to see you so confident, capable, and career-focused. And sometimes you're not even a shrill bitch about it. It's very nice. Japan. Tenno haika ga aine ine sonsu suru tame ni watashi ga kore yori amamoro sisimasu. Sweden. It could even be your legendary shark to terrorize your Swedish waters. I talk, of course, of Yaus, the monster of the seas. Denmark. You must learn what a lion looks like when cut into bits. You must learn what causes depression in bears. You must learn what mosquitoes think when their parents die. That's what they think. That's what they think. Germany. Geschäftsflügentraurigkeit. Benzinwolkenwartebeschämung. Spain, Barcelona. You are the worst. The worst. New Zealand. We'd very much like you to end the sanctions. Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. Makes sense. I'll show myself out. Bit of banter, no drama. New Zealand. Fleek referendum in 2015. New Zealand. This is not funny. It happens all the time. Why is it even here? New Zealand. Your Honour, my client pleads probably not. Yeah, probably not. It's having a crack. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. I'm John Oliver. Thank you so much for joining us. Just time for a quick recap of the week, and we begin with the US election, or as you may know it, the Clowntown Fuck the World Shit Show 2016. This was a particularly big week for the Republican Party, with Donald Trump winning 7 states on Super Tuesday and 2 more last night. And while yesterday's wins were a little narrower, it does appear that Republican voters have, for the time being, decided not to make Donald Trump again. Hashtag make Donald Trump again. In fact, Trump's opponents spent the week seeming increasingly desperate
He's always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2". Have you seen his hands? They're like this. And you know what they say about men with small hands? You can't trust them.
No, that is not what they say about men with small hands. And if you can't say the word penis, don't imply the word penis, because at that point it's not even an insult, it's a Christian rock lyric. But even as primary voters embrace Trump, the Republican establishment is rejecting him like a transplanted organ, which is fitting as Trump does resemble a kidney dropped on the floor at a supercuts. But to truly reject an organ, you need white blood cells, and the GOP called up the whitest blood cell of them all.
Now, Donald Trump tells us that he is very, very smart. I'm afraid that when it comes to foreign policy, he is very, very not smart.
OK. And that is very, very not a very good insult. But Romney wasn't alone. Prominent Republicans lined up to publicly attack their own party's frontrunner.
I'm just hopeful that we aren't faced with the possibility of having Mr. Trump as our nominee.
I cannot in good conscience vote for him, and I will not.
If we nominate Donald Trump and put him on a glide path to the nomination, Republicans will be committing an abortion on their own party, and it will be the end of the Republican Party as we know it.
Holy shit! You know they're getting desperate when they're just throwing in their favourite buzzwords. He won't just be an abortion, he'll be a Sharia law wrapped in a Benghazi-themed gay wedding. And I mean it. I'm not understating that. I mean it. But Trump, not surprisingly, Trump hit back hard at his critics with his tiny hamster-sized fists during Thursday's debate.
He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
That's right. Donald Trump just talked about his dick during a presidential debate. A dick which I presume looks like a Cheeto with a cheese dust rubbed on. I presume. That's a guess. But you know what? I'm glad he brought it up. Mainly because I now have an excuse to play you something that we didn't have time to include last week. Specifically, an audiobook excerpt from his ex-wife Ivana's For Love Alone, a barely fictionalised account of their marriage as read by Morgan Fairchild.
In a moment, they were on the floor, on top of the mink coat, Katrinka's legs gripping his waist as he moved deeper and deeper into her. As Adam pulled away from her, his cock fell for a moment into the valley between her legs, leaving a smear of semen on the dark silk. He smiled with satisfaction. Now you have to keep the coat, he said.
Oh, that is horrible, although, whatever you think about that, you can't say jizzing all over your girlfriend's clothes is not presidential, OK? You can't say that. But the Republicans... Donald Trump, an ill-fitting suit full of chickens coming home to roost. He had a dramatic week, culminating in this on Friday evening.
Chaos erupting at a rally for Donald Trump. The violence so bad, the rally had to be canceled.
Now, let's be honest. A Trump rally being cancelled due to violence is the most predictable thing to happen in this campaign since Donald Trump mentioning the size of his dick. Of course those things happened. Of course they did. And look, it doesn't feel like shutting down his events is the most effective idea, but it was hard to hear him play down any kind of role he may have had in this.
I certainly don't incite violence, and I don't condone violence, and I don't talk about violence.
Obviously, you know that's a lie. It couldn't be true, even if he crossed his heart with his tiny little AA battery-sized fingers. Because there have been an escalating series of confrontations at his rallies with his supporters attacking protesters, and where might they get the notion that that's a good idea?
Get him out of here. Throw him out. If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you?
You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks.
Like to punch him in the face.
Wow. Strap in, because we're in for a bumpy ride, folks. Donald Trump is one flaming guitar player away from turning this campaign into Fury fucking Road. Let's talk about Toronto, because tomorrow morning they will choose a new mayor. Now, sadly, current mayor Rob Ford, everyone's favourite walking beefsteak tomato, is not running for re-election. But don't despair, for there is another. Rob Ford has a brother, Doug Ford, who is running for mayor. And if you are wondering how alike they are, please enjoy this little clip.
I got you. I know. Okay.
The funny thing is, like all typical siblings, the goal is when you're on a seesaw to jack your sibling off.
Totally.
You know what? You know what? You laugh, but he's right. On a seesaw, you really want to jack your sibling off. You want to do anything to get him off. Beat him. Beat him off that seesaw. Make him come right down to the ground because you beat him off so hard on that seesaw. But look, now, to become mayor, Doug Ford has had some tricky political obstacles to overcome. For instance, his brother has allegedly used anti-Semitic language in the past, and Doug was asked about that in a debate at a Jewish high school in Toronto. I'm going to play you the first few seconds of his response.
You know something? My doctor, my Jewish dentist, my Jewish lawyer, my Jewish accountant.
Why is everyone booing? I love Jews. I love everything about you. The tiny hats, the big crackers that you eat, your weird Christmas candles. I love it. Why are you booing me? Look, it wasn't the best response, sure, which is why, after having a night to sleep on it, Doug took a second crack at it.
The Ford family has an extensive relationship, a great relationship with the Jewish community. Matter of fact, my wife is Jewish.
Oh! How about that? That is a convenient fact to have remembered, seemingly in the middle of your sentence. Unfortunately, a local reporter then cast doubts on Doug's claim, forcing Doug Ford to bring out his definitely Jewish wife to talk about her definitely Jewish heritage, which went definitely spectacularly well.
My mother's family has Jewish bloodlines. I don't practice Judaism. I never have.
So, listen, she doesn't practice Judaism. Hence, I guess, her use of the term Judism. Though her ancestors may or may not have been Judesque. But look, none of this matters because by that point, Doug Ford had moved on to his next scandal after being overheard allegedly referring to the journalist who'd questioned his wife's Judaism as a little bitch, a charge he then spectacularly denied.
I was falsely accused from the Toronto Star. I was having a private conversation, walking out with two staff members, and I guess they just assumed I was talking about someone in that room that had nothing to do with anyone in that room last night whatsoever.
I was talking about a completely different little bitch in a completely different room. If I was talking about that little bitch, she'd know about it. Are we done here? Why are you booing me? Look, Toronto. I think I speak on behalf of the rest of the world when I deliver you this message. Please, please, elect this man. Sure. His brother was fun, but at a certain point, we felt bad laughing at him. Whereas Doug Ford doesn't have a drug problem, he's just an arsehole. A non-chemically assisted arsehole. So please, Toronto, I beg you, let us laugh at your arsehole for another 4 years. Yours sincerely, everyone who does not live in Toronto.
君がいないと本当に退屈だね寂しい